the unfolding of divine justice. When trust is broken, this is a message delivered straight to your spirit, a profound truth you need to internalize right now. It's not simply encouragement, it is a spiritual revelation designed specifically for you, the woman who has been marked and chosen by a force far greater than any man. You know, perhaps better than anyone, the heavy cost of carrying immense strength while hiding a private sorrow. You understand the exhausting performance of showing an unbreakable smile to the world when your inner self is reeling from a wound no one can see. But please understand this. Not a single tear, not one moment of hidden anguish, went unrecorded. Heaven observed everything, and the entire universe felt the tremor of your pain. The spiritual laws governing this world are absolute, and when a woman who is under divine protection is hurt, the cosmos itself does not simply move on. When a chosen daughter is wounded, a massive, silent shift occurs in the invisible realms, and a sacred reckoning begins to unfold. So, I must ask you to consider the immense weight of this question. What truly happens when a man deliberately violates the trust of a woman whose heart is a vessel for God's own grace? What kind of seismic event erupts when someone betrays a soul that heaven itself was guarding with meticulous care? You may have fooled yourself into believing that he walked away unscathed, thinking that your quiet sorrow disappeared into the void of unnoticed pain. But I assure you that is the most profound deception. The moment your sacred trust was carelessly shattered, heaven immediately intervened. Nothing, absolutely nothing, passes without being logged and remembered in the divine archive. A spiritual chain reaction is triggered the very second your heart is fractured, and that moment of breakage instantly becomes the sacred catalyst for your highest, most profound spiritual awakening. This is essential to grasp. Your story is not the pathetic narrative of a victim. No, this is the glorious, epic saga of a divine recalibration, a massive and undeniable spiritual upheaval, a spectacular rise in power that not even you could have predicted. And today, you are going to finally understand the divine blueprint behind your pain, because there are concrete, unavoidable consequences. There are 5 unstoppable, God-ordained consequences that are set into motion the moment a man dares to dishonor the sacred trust of a chosen woman. These consequences are not enacted to deliver petty vengeance against him. Their sole, divine purpose is to profoundly elevate you, to transform your vulnerability into an undeniable power. They are not meant to expose your hidden weakness, but rather to brilliantly illuminate your unique spiritual anointing. The instant these 5 truths register in your soul, something deep within you will resonate. A deep sense of recognition will click into place. It will feel accurate, hauntingly familiar, and even prophetic, because a part of you has already witnessed the silent, powerful way heaven is rearranging the atmosphere around you. So, take a deep, centering breath, remain completely present with me, and promise you will not look away. In this moment, you are going to be given the keys to understand the 5 spiritual consequences that invariably fall upon the man who breaks a chosen woman's trust, and the divine, radical transformation God ignites within her as a direct result. But before we dive deeper into this revelation, I invite you to seal this truth. Click the like button to anchor this message, subscribe so you don't miss any future revelations, and take a moment to comment 99 below. The number 99 is a powerful representation of the spiritual season, when heaven ensures absolutely nothing is left behind, not even the most damaged or forgotten aspects of your own soul. Consequence 1. Conviction becomes his shadow. He made the profound mistake of assuming that the story ended the instant he walked away. He foolishly believed that distance would instantly silence the echo of all the promises he broke, and that your very existence would simply fade away like a memory he could effortlessly manage. But this is the brutal, inescapable truth about causing pain to a chosen woman. Heaven does not grant him the easy luxury of forgetting what he did. Conviction is always the first spiritual force sent to find him, and it arrives with an unrelenting persistence he can't shake. It might start subtly, a quiet pressure he can't identify, a stray, unwelcome thought, a strange emotional weight that makes no logical sense, but it inevitably grows. It metastasizes in the awkward silence between his words and in the spaces where he used to feel completely secure and confident. It haunts the empty corners of his greatest, most hard-won victories, effortlessly transforming what should be a feeling of triumph into something strangely, profoundly hollow. He is allowed to celebrate, but a core part of his spirit refuses to cheer. He can laugh outwardly, but an undeniable stillness remains trapped inside him. He can certainly try to lie to everyone around him, but the one entity he cannot deceive is his own spirit. Late at night, when the clamor of the world finally quiets and his endless distractions lose their power, the voice of conviction becomes terrifyingly loud. It's like a relentless whisper dragging its cold fingers across the back of his mind, a voice softly, patiently, repeating the truth he has fought so hard to bury. He might compulsively grab his phone, scrolling endlessly for noise to drown out the painful truth, or bury himself in a fake routine, desperately pretending he's completely unaffected. He may even try to replace you with a dizzying succession of noise, fleeting moments, new faces, and new names. But conviction, this spiritual truth teller, is the one thing he is fundamentally powerless to outrun. It follows him into every room, every new city, every hollow attempt at a fresh beginning. This is vital to understand. Conviction isn't a form of divine punishment in the traditional sense. It is a powerful spiritual exposure. It is a spotlight shining directly on the moral choices he refused to confront and the deep hurt he never acknowledged. Conviction exposes the precious love he so carelessly mishandled because he simply failed to comprehend its divine weight and consequence. Heaven uses this conviction like a powerful spotlight, illuminating every hidden corner of his heart, forcing him to face the parts of himself he tried to keep hidden, even from his own conscience. And here is the divine irony he never could have anticipated. Conviction is not sent to destroy him, but to profoundly reveal him. It is designed to shake him, to unsettle his false peace, and to confront him with the brutal reality that he broke something sacred, not merely something ordinary or disposable. It serves as a constant, relentless reminder that you were never just another woman. Your very presence carried a profound spiritual alignment, and your heart offered a sacred covering over his life. Consequently, every moment of silence now becomes an unwelcome reminder. Every quiet, still morning becomes a piercing question. Every restless, sleepless night becomes a deafening echo of the immense spiritual value he foolishly walked away from. And here is the part of this consequence he absolutely never saw coming. You don't have to pursue him. You are not required to send a desperate message or try to prove your undeniable worth or even demand closure. This is because heaven itself has become your advocate. Conviction is the spiritual receipt, a powerful reminder that you were never the problem. Your presence simply carried a spiritual depth and intensity he was profoundly unprepared and unwilling to honor. The unvarnished truth will rest heavily on his shoulders until he is forced to face the exact reality he has been running from. Heaven will not permit him to forget the sacred thing he mishandled. This is not born out of vengeance, but out of absolute, spiritual necessity, because your profound value was never intended to be dismissed without an appropriate consequence. And while he is wrestling with the crushing weight of that truth, something infinitely greater is silently and powerfully forming beneath the surface of your own life. Something he cannot perceive yet, but something he will very soon be made to feel. Because conviction is merely the first ripple, what comes next is a deep spiritual tremor. Consequence 2, his favor begins to wane. There is a precise moment, silent, completely invisible, and almost impossible to notice at the beginning, when the entire spiritual atmosphere surrounding a man begins an irreversible decline. It doesn't arrive with a dramatic clap of thunder, nor is it heralded by flashing warnings or obvious dramatic signs. It happens quietly and subtly, like a powerful candle slowly and gently losing its flame, one soft breath at a time. And this subtle decline begins the very instant he commits the moral transgression of dishonoring a chosen woman. Because when he intentionally breaks the sacred trust that heaven extended through her, the spiritual favor that once flowed effortlessly into his life doesn't instantly vanish. Instead, it begins to leak, to thin out, to dim like a light bulb desperately flickering before it finally burns out completely. He is completely unaware of this happening at first, and that is precisely the most terrifying and haunting part of this consequence. The decline is incredibly slow, almost deceptively gentle, cleverly disguised beneath the normalcy of his routine and daily life. In the beginning, everything in his life appears exactly the same job, same ambitious plans, same confident persona. But a crucial spiritual ingredient is suddenly missing. The inexplicable ease, the powerful flow, the divine grace that once carried him forward without the slightest effort. Doors that used to swing open with the slightest nudge now suddenly begin to resist with an unexpected stubbornness. Opportunities he once attracted simply by existing now inexplicably slip through his careless fingers. The potent momentum he once took for granted begins to inexplicably stall. It feels as though the wind that once propelled him forward has suddenly become still and uncooperative. He tries to overcompensate for this loss by pushing infinitely harder, relentlessly strategizing more, and aggressively surrounding himself with the noise of superficial success and attention. Yet, nothing seems to land with the same impact. Nothing seems to blossom and flourish the way it effortlessly used to. His victories feel strangely thinner, his perceived progress feels unexpectedly heavier, and his once unshakable confidence becomes acutely fragile. What he fails to comprehend is that the abundant favor he once enjoyed was never random chance. It was profoundly connected to her presence, inextricably linked to the spiritual alignment she carried, and attached to the divine covering that a chosen woman silently held over him without him ever truly noticing or valuing it. Her presence was never just emotional comfort, it was potent divine reinforcement. She functioned as a powerful spiritual gate through which endless blessings entered his life, even when he remained oblivious to it. And when he chose to completely mistreat that gate, when he shattered that trust, when he willfully disconnected himself from the very vessel God used to pour grace over his existence, the entire flow changed. This change is not enacted out of spiteful anger or for punitive punishment, but simply because of an unwavering spiritual law. A chosen woman is a spiritual portal, never merely a placeholder. Her loyalty bestows profound protection. Her heart offers silent intercession. Her very presence carries divine access. The moment he disrespected that sacred access, he immediately severed the channel through which heaven was releasing its benefits into his world. Suddenly his once stable job feels unstable. His long-term goals feel blurry and undefined. Even the friendships he always thought were solid begin to tragically reveal their profound fragility. Even in his new, desperate relationships, a crucial element feels fundamentally missing. Connections that should thrive and deepen instead fall apart before they can take root. Why? Because divine favor cannot and will not dwell where honor has been irrevocably killed. And deep within a place in his soul that he refuses to acknowledge, he knows that a massive shift has occurred. He feels it when he wakes up with an unexplainable heaviness. He feels it when his progress now demands twice the effort for barely half the outcome. He feels it when he looks at his life and realizes it no longer possesses the unique, spiritual brightness it once had. Here is the heartbreaking truth he utterly failed to see coming. What he lost was far more than just a woman. He lost an access point to an overflowing, divine channel of favor. And that profound loss is not announced with noise, but it is relentless and inescapable. It follows him into every single decision, every new forced start, every desperate attempt to artificially rebuild. Because spiritual favor can always be transferred, favor can be lifted, Favor can be redirected to someone who has the wisdom and maturity to honor its sacred presence. And while he is sadly forced to watch his former blessings dim and fade, something infinitely more powerful is unfolding on your side of the spiritual veil. Silent, unstoppable, and breathtakingly powerful. A magnificent spiritual shift that he cannot possibly see, but whose weight he will soon feel, because when favor definitively leaves one place, it invariably rises somewhere else, and that somewhere else is closer to your destiny than he could possibly imagine. Consequence 3. God elevates her in secret. There exists a profound, sacred mystery in the precise way God goes about his work with a chosen woman after she has endured a deep, soul-shaking wound. It is so subtle, so hidden, and so quiet that even she often struggles to comprehend the profound transformation occurring within her. On the outside, she may appear fragile and wounded. She may look inexplicably tired, and she may feel like she is slowly dissolving into the shadows she never chose to enter. But in the spiritual realm, the only realm that truly matters, something utterly extraordinary is being rapidly unfolded. While her tears fall unnoticed by the loud, careless world, heaven uses every single one of them as the powerful, raw material to meticulously rebuild her into a masterpiece. While she lies awake, relentlessly wondering why her life suddenly feels impossibly heavy, God is intensely and dramatically rearranging the very architecture of her destiny. And while she feels devastatingly abandoned, God is, in fact, gently pulling her into the deepest, most transformative, most intimate relationship with him she has ever known. Because when a chosen woman cries in the profound silence of her brokenness, God does not remain passive. He begins the divine construction of the strongest, most powerful version of her in places no human eye can ever see. She enters a spiritual cocoon, a space not of punishment, but of sacred preparation. She may feel utterly invisible, but she is unequivocally not forgotten. She may feel irrevocably broken, but she is currently being reforged in divine fire. She may feel desperately empty, but she is, in truth, being made limitless. The pervasive silence surrounding her is never evidence of God's absence. It is, in fact, the undeniable evidence of a divine strategy. God is actively removing the loud, chaotic noise that once distracted her, carefully clearing out the misleading voices that once caused her to stumble, and swiftly stripping away the unhealthy dependencies that once severely weakened her spirit. He isolates her, not to diminish her radiant light, but to magnify her spirit, to make her hear his voice with perfect clarity, to compel her to see herself through his eyes, and to make her rise without needing anyone's permission. And while she is deeply immersed in this sacred silence, he, the man who broke her, continues to believe he is perfectly stable. He clings to the illusion that her absence is irrelevant and that his world is continuing to form without any debilitating cracks. But that profound illusion is only temporary, because what looks utterly stable on the surface can still be crumbling dramatically underneath. The spiritual imbalance created when he dishonored a soul that heaven protected begins to vividly reflect itself in the deep, undeniable cracks he desperately tries to ignore. He experiences sudden moments of inexplicable heaviness, profound doubts he cannot logically explain, and a strange, deep hollowness that relentlessly visits him when the room is dark and his distractions have failed. He doesn't realize that the spiritual contrast is rapidly expanding. While she is powerfully rising, completely unseen, he is steadily declining, utterly unnoticed. The sheer beauty and profound justice lies in this divine reversal. She is being methodically rebuilt from the inside out. God is strengthening her logic, sharpening her intuitive insight, and magnificently expanding her future vision. He is teaching her how to love herself with a deep reverence and value she never knew she deserved. He is completely restoring her discernment, her healthy boundaries, and her self-worth. He is breathing life into her biggest, boldest dreams again. Step by step, She is regaining what she mistakenly thought she had lost. Not the man, not the relationship, but her own magnificent self, her core identity, her potent voice, and her spiritual sovereignty. The world may not have witnessed the grueling, quiet process, but they will certainly be forced to witness the glorious, unmistakable result. Because God is not preparing her to retreat to the woman she used to be. He is preparing her to become an entirely new entity, a force of nature she has never been before. And when she emerges from this season of profound, powerful silence, she will not walk timidly or apologetically. She will not walk like a woman merely surviving her immense heartbreak. She will walk like someone who fearlessly met God in the absolute center of her deepest pain and came out glowing with divine revelation, anchored with an unbreakable purpose, and absolutely untouchable by everything that once had the power to wound her. And here is the profound emotional truth that heaven whispers directly into the soul of every chosen woman. She always rises without fail. No matter who broke her spirit, no matter what tangible loss she endured, no matter how profoundly dark the season felt, a chosen woman is never designed to stay on the floor. She is spiritually designed for resurrection. And when she rises, when she steps boldly into the brilliant, glorious light God constructed for her in the quiet, no eye, not a single one, can dare to ignore it. Not the ones who relentlessly doubted her, not the ones who savagely betrayed her, and certainly not the ones who completely underestimated the indomitable fire of her spirit. But before that inevitable rise becomes visible and undeniable, one more thing, something even more divinely strategic, is about to unfold. Consequence 4. A divine replacement is sent. There comes an utterly silent, sacred moment. A moment of incomprehensible spiritual strategy, when heaven begins the process of shifting the entire storyline of a chosen woman's life. And this pivotal moment does not involve dramatic upheaval. It begins the precise moment God decrees that she has shed enough tears over someone who was never divinely designed to carry the weight of her grand, immense destiny. Because losing the man who betrayed her was never the tragedy she perceived it to be. It was, in truth, the liberation she was unknowingly desperate for. What she agonized over as a heartbreaking rejection, heaven viewed as a strategic jailbreak. What she interpreted as a crushing abandonment, God masterfully orchestrated as a powerful release. Her soul was never being punished. It was, in fact, being miraculously rescued. Heaven does not remove people from our lives randomly or carelessly. Heaven strategically removes people who would have inevitably sabotaged the magnificent woman she is actively becoming. And that shift, that precise, surgical cutting away, changes absolutely everything about her trajectory. Suddenly, what she previously thought was devastating rejection transforms into divine redirection. What she immediately assumed was a crushing loss becomes powerful, timely protection. And what felt like the bitter, final end becomes the exhilarating beginning of a storyline she never even dared to dream about. Because God is far too intentional and meticulous to permit a chosen woman to remain permanently tied to a man who is incapable of honoring her sacred spirit, her high calling, or her glorious future. When he definitively removes a man from her path, it is never because she wasn't worthy of true love. It is simply because she was spiritually overqualified for his limited future. As her heart slowly but surely mends and heals, something beautiful begins to unfold behind the spiritual veil. God starts meticulously aligning her life with a completely different kind of man. One she didn't anticipate. One she honestly didn't think even existed. One who carries the precise spiritual maturity and deep emotional depth she prayed for in her absolute silence. This man will not arrive as a temporary distraction. He will not appear as a quick, shallow escape. He will not be a mere bandage for an old, festering wound. He will be restoration itself wrapped in human form, a blessing shaped with divine precision, a perfect reflection of the kind of profound, honoring love she was truly meant to receive from the very beginning of time. The man God sends will passionately honor the things the other man callously destroyed. He will value what the other tragically mishandled. He will fiercely protect what the other so carelessly broke. He will immediately recognize the invaluable gold in her spirit without ever needing to test her worth. His presence in her life will feel like absolute, welcome clarity. His intentions will feel like complete, total safety. His love will feel instantly familiar, not because she has ever experienced it before, but because her soul has been intensely longing for this level of connection since the very moment she was marked by heaven. This man will never fear her immense strength. He will genuinely admire it. He will never diminish her light. He will joyfully rise to meet it. He will never run from her calling. He will willingly help her carry its sacred weight. And the astonishing beauty of these divine replacements is that they invariably arrive only after heaven has completed its greatest, most transformative work within her. They arrive after she has fully healed, after she has powerfully risen, after she has learned to choose herself again with fierce devotion. This new man will meet a version of her that is wiser, softer, stronger, and more spiritually grounded than she has ever been. He will meet her after the raging storm, when her magnificent glow has fully returned, when her spirit is completely renewed, when her boundaries are sharp and firm, and when her discernment is unmatched. This is the reason heaven never asks her to chase the one who so quickly walked away, because the man who left her was never truly her covering. He was her challenging classroom. He was simply the necessary lesson, not the ultimate promise. The dramatic exit of the wrong person always creates the perfect, wide entrance for the right one. A chosen woman's story never, ever ends with what wounded her. It ends with what was precisely designed for her. And here is the truth that should send electric shivers through every woman listening. What God sends next is always, without exception, immeasurably greater than what was lost. Consequence 5. Her prayers become divine weapons. There is a profound spiritual phenomenon that is only ever fully awakened within a chosen woman after she has endured a deep, seismic wound. An elevation in power so fierce, so raw, so divinely charged that the entire spiritual atmosphere around her instantly transforms. When a man shatters her trust, her tears do not simply fall inert to the ground. They rise, they ascend, they powerfully ignite. This is because the sheer, raw pain of a chosen woman does not drown her spirit. It transforms her into something new. Her pain instantly transmutes into a language only heaven understands. It becomes authority, pure, unfiltered, commanding authority. A chosen woman never simply cries. She deliberately releases sound into the spiritual realm. And what is birthed from her tears ascends into heaven like pure fire. Her quiet whispers become potent warfare. Her immense heartbreak becomes a spiritual weapon. Her profound silence becomes deep, powerful intercession. And her prayers, those prayers she prays when she is utterly alone, when her chest is tight and her breath is shaking, those prayers carry profound weight, reach, and consequence. She may feel like the most fragile being on earth, but in the unseen world, she instantly becomes one of the most powerful forces heaven can possibly deploy. This is because pain lends depth to her prayer. Depth creates spiritual clarity, and clarity generates unwavering spiritual accuracy. She begins to pray completely differently, not shallow, casual prayers, but prayers that speak from places of profound truth, complete surrender, and fierce, unyielding resilience. She prays not to be superficially rescued, but to be profoundly strengthened. She prays not for external validation, but for complete, unwavering alignment with her divine purpose. And heaven responds to that purified frequency instantly and dramatically. Angels instantly move at the sound of her renewed voice. The spiritual atmosphere shifts the moment she calls upon God from the absolute depth of her soul. And here is the part that is almost impossible for the human mind to fully comprehend. Even the people who hurt her may ultimately be protected by her prayers. Because a chosen woman, when she finally heals, does not become perpetually bitter. She becomes profoundly elevated. When she chooses to forgive, she does not lose power, she exponentially multiplies it. Even the man who broke her may one day find himself inexplicably shielded by the powerful intercession she made in her deepest, darkest moment. Her heart is not merely a human organ. It is a divine vessel that carries a sacred compassion that covers, protects, and ultimately transforms. Heaven listens to her prayers not because she is perfect or flawless, but because her pain has completely purified her intentions. But make absolutely no mistake, her prayers are not weak. They are not gentle. They are not small. Her prayers effortlessly tear through debilitating generational chains. They decisively shift unfavorable outcomes. They forcefully open locked doors. They brutally expose hidden lies. They fiercely cover her children, her purpose, her future, and her destiny. Her prayers become the profound reason certain spiritual attacks fail. Her prayers become the absolute reason certain destructive people cannot return to her life. Her prayers become the reason she never collapses under immense pressure. Her prayers build impenetrable walls around her spirit that no future betrayal can ever break. And suddenly, what was once intended to destroy her becomes the very fuel that transforms her into a spiritual giant. She prays differently because she has felt intensely. She intercedes differently because she has survived fiercely. And she rises differently because she has been spiritually refined through transformative fire. That is why she never needs to seek revenge or retaliation. She doesn't need to. Her true power does not reside in petty retaliation. Her power is in spiritual revelation. Her true strength is not found in her anger. Her strength is in her profound alignment with the divine, and the spiritual world fully understands this. A wounded chosen woman who has learned to pray with authority is one of the most utterly unstoppable forces heaven has ever created. Because a chosen woman never holds grudges, she holds power. The final prophecy, restoration with precision. Take another deep, intentional breath. Because everything you have heard until this very moment has been purposefully building to this divine conclusion. Not a single word was accidental. Not a single revelation was random. Every truth spoken was preparing your spirit for the prophecy I am about to deliver now. And if your heart has been intensely stirring, perhaps trembling, or powerfully waking up as you listened, it is because heaven is actively reaching out to you. This is your profound moment of clarity. Your moment of spiritual awakening, your moment of divine recognition. Listen with the deepest part of your soul. What he violently broke, God is restoring with absolute precision. What he attempted to permanently dim, God is reigniting with an unquenchable fire. What he dishonored and threw away, God is exalting in front of every single eye that once recklessly overlooked your immense value. Your story is not concluding in the place where someone else decided to wound you. Your grand, eternal destiny is not, and was never, in his hands. You are heaven's sacred assignment, not his temporary possession. And when a man breaks the trust of a chosen woman, he does not tragically destroy her future. He powerfully activates her rise. He awakens incredible dimensions of her that even she didn't know she carried. She emerges deeper, sharper, stronger, wiser, and infinitely more aligned with the exact purpose God designed for her before she ever even met him. This is the ultimate revelation you were always meant to receive today. Your immense pain was never the end. It was the divine ignition, the doorway, the strategic trigger for your greatest breakthrough. Heaven is not simply just healing you. Heaven is actively positioning you, monumentally elevating you, and preparing you for a chapter of life so expansive, so luminous, so undeniably yours that even the people who viciously misjudged you, doubted your spirit, or minimized your worth will be forced to stand back in awe and declare, she was chosen, she was marked, she was protected all along. And now, hear this as a direct prophecy spoken straight into your victorious spirit. Prepare yourself with immediate intention. What is coming for you next is so great, so undeniable, so utterly supernatural, that even those who drastically underestimated you will witness your undeniable rise and have absolutely no choice but to recognize the powerful, undeniable hand of God over your magnificent life. You are decisively stepping into a season where nothing broken remains broken, nothing stolen remains missing, and nothing damaged remains unhealed. Heaven is completely rewriting your story with glory, not with grief. Before you move on, seal this powerful moment. Anchor this truth in the atmosphere around you. Declare it publicly so that the spiritual world knows you received this monumental truth. Type in the comments right now, "God is restoring my story." Let these words be the seed you plant today, and let the magnificent harvest be every glorious thing heaven has been patiently preparing for you.